Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin. So today I'm going to give y'all a full body weightlifting workout. And as you can see here, I'm starting with my warm up, and this is 1 to 2 minutes of biking. I usually start with biking because I know that it strengthens your knees and the muscles around your knees to prevent ACL, MCL, everything tears. At least I know that that is what the rehab was. A lot of biking for my mom, my sister, and my brother who have all torn their ACLs. So, yeah, I like to warm up with the bike. This is the assault bike where you're using your arms as well. And this really gets my heart rate up really, really quickly. You can see now that I'm like slowing down. It only takes me about 30 seconds to get pretty winded if I'm going a good speed on the assault bike. And as you can tell, I stopped using my legs and I was just using my arms. Sometimes I want to just rest my legs and rest my arms. So I'll do some legs and then I'll just do some arms. Really depends on how I'm feeling and how I want to warm up. But I really like this bike because it has the fan and I get really hot really fast. All right, so moving on to the rest of my warm up, I usually like to do some dynamic warm up. So I usually start with the lunge and twist to warm up my lower body and my back. And I always will do a dynamic warm up before I lift, especially if I'm doing a lot of legs. I just feel like I easily get injured, and if I don't warm up enough, I will just hurt myself. So I like to start with the lunge with the twist, and then the quad stretch to side lunge. Here I'm doing the heel walk to the toe walk, warming up the calves and the front of the legs, the shins. And then I like to do a high knee karaoke. And then I'll do some like inch walkouts, inchworm with the push up at the bottom. All right, so now we're starting the workout. This is my warm up set for my box squats, and I will have a main lift that I'll do first, and I will be not maxing out, but going really heavy. So I have my warm up set here, and I'll do like 6 to 10 reps. And this is 3 sets of 6, going up weight every round, and then one last set of as many reps as possible. After each set, you want to give yourself about 1.5 to 2 minutes of rest. I always use this time to just change out my weights, stretch a little bit, see how my body's feeling, and then get back into it. You always just want to make sure you're giving your body enough rest so that you can meet the weights that you want to achieve on your next set. And I am still working on my box squat, so by any means, this is not perfect. But if you can tell, my shins are staying parallel with the ground or almost parallel. That's what you want. You want your shins exactly parallel with the ground. And you don't want to sit back on the bench. You want to keep your weight a little forward so that you have or that you're able to sit and stand back up without shifting your weight and putting pressure on your spine. I could probably keep my chest up a little bit, but the point is you want to keep your shins straight up and down. So that's really my main goal here. And then also keeping the core tight to protect the lower spine. And right now I have 35s on each side. I usually go up about 10 pounds each round, depending on how I'm feeling. Today I felt pretty good, so I was trying to go up weight really fast because there's only 3 sets and then your last max rep set. All right, like always, make sure you're giving yourself about 2 minutes rest. And this is actually my last set that I did. I felt pretty good at 6 for 45, so I just left it at that. And I just kind of counted my warm-up set as my first set. So usually I would do my warm-up sets until I'm warm, and then I would start adding the weight and counting that as my sets. But today I felt that 6 with the 45s was good, so I stopped there. You can tell by now the speed of my box squat is very much slower. So when I'm starting to tire out, obviously I slow down. And when it's hard for me to get out of that sticking point or like out of or off the box, I know that I'm getting up there to my max. So that's when I kind of gauge like, okay, could I do another set of this? Okay, so moving on to our hypertrophy supersets. We just finished the strength box squats, and now we're working on hypertrophy or growth muscle or muscle growth. Wow. And so now we have 5 rounds or 5 sets of 12 and then 1 max rep set again, with about 30 seconds rest in between each set. And I totally started this off strong with some 40-pound weight and quickly realized I just did box squats and my legs are already tired, and these were extremely hard with 40 pounds. So I went ahead and dropped the weight and did the rest of my sets with just body weight. And now we have the leg extensions. I don't do these super often because I know they put stress on the knees. So when you're doing these, just be mindful of where your ankles are in relation to your knees. So don't let your knees pass your toes on this machine. Moving on to the hamstring curls. These ended up getting really hard really fast, so I just went down weight every set. And I ended up only doing 3 sets of these exercises because I actually ran out of time. I had to go to class. So I only did 3 sets and my legs are still dead. For split squats, a common mistake I see a lot, even in the college athletes that I coach, is that the leading knee is tracking too far forward over the toes. Your knee should actually stay over your ankle. And if you concentrate on going straight up and down with your hips, it will help a lot with that. I used to seriously push my knees so far forward and I had so much knee problems. So just make sure when you're doing lunges or split squats that your front knee is staying behind your toes. At this point, you can tell that I'm struggling to finish these sets. My legs were so tired and it was taking all out of me just to get these last reps in. Now we're moving on to upper body, and we have bent over rows and bicep curls, and these are 5 sets of 12 as well, with a last set of as many reps as possible. And sorry my camera got blurry here, but it goes back pretty soon. Make sure when you're doing bent over rows, you're not using the momentum of it coming up to pull the rest of the way up. So you can pull really fast at the bottom and that's it. But that is not the way you want to go unless you're training for power, but that's besides the point. You want to make sure you're pulling at a steady state. I'm going fast, but I'm not letting the momentum carry the weight up for those bent over rows. I'm just doing them fast. Hopefully that makes sense. And then for curls, you can see that I'm like holding my elbow or touching my elbow at one spot. You want to keep your elbow off of your body. And I see this a lot where people rest their elbow on their rib cage or somewhere like on your stomach. And that gives you a spot to swing your arm on, and it actually doesn't let your muscles do the work that they're supposed to do. So make sure that your elbow is off of your side and there's a little bit of space between your elbow and your side. Another common mistake I see is people rounding their shoulders forward or like tucking their chin in, and it's like making this rounded curve in their back. You really want to make sure that your spine is nice and straight to protect everything, and just make sure you're doing the movement right. If you're rounding your back, you could actually be, well, first of all, hurting yourself, and second of all, doing the movement completely wrong. Also, these tips that I'm giving, I'm sincerely just trying to help. I'm not saying that anyone is doing anything wrong or like shame on you for doing something that you didn't know. Like, we all start somewhere, and I'm really just giving tips that I feel like would be helpful for someone, especially if you're newer to the gym, because it's very common mistakes that I've seen and that I've learned about. Most of them I have done myself, so I'm really just pointing out things for safer lifting. Finally, we have the last set, which is abs. So we have TRX ab rollouts and plank leg tucks. And these ones, you just have to kind of mess around with the TRX bands. If you've never used them before, you can lengthen and shorten the bands so that they're like a nice length for you. Just make sure you're keeping your core really tight. You don't want there to be a rounded curve in your back. You want a really nice straight back. And you're gonna really feel it in the core. And then for the plate or the plank tucks, you're gonna feel it in your lower core a lot. And the trick with TRX bands is like the farther you are away from it, if we're doing like ab things, the harder it is. So I like to start with my feet like directly under the pole or like what it's attached to. And then I got really tired and I decided to, for just the last set of what I could get out, try doing the tucks from the pull-up bar. And this was really challenging for me, so I just tried to get to 15. I think I got like 14 with a couple breaks in between. So here you can watch me struggle. And like always, make sure you get a good stretch in after your workout. Stretch your hamstrings, your glutes, your quads, your shoulders. We pretty much worked everything. Good rule of thumb for stretching is stretch every side, every muscle for 60 seconds. All right, and with that is the end of my video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I will see y'all in my next video.